how Stoicism teaches you to face public shame and embarrassment. The fear of shame. Imagine this. You walk into a room and everyone turns to stare. You trip, spill your drink, and laughter erupts. Or maybe you post something online and instead of applause, the comments sting with mockery. Shame, embarrassment, humiliation. Few pains cut deeper than the feeling of being exposed, ridiculed, or rejected by the crowd. We dread it, we avoid it, we replay it in our heads for days, even years. But the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus faced shame too. And instead of running from it, they learned to walk straight through it with calm dignity. Today, let's explore how Stoicism can teach us to face public shame and embarrassment without breaking, without losing ourselves, and even with the strength to rise above it. Why shame hurts so much? The Stoics understood something we often forget. Shame isn't always about the event itself, it's about our judgment of it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about it. Spilling a drink is just spilling a drink. Speaking awkwardly is just sound leaving your mouth. What makes it unbearable is the story we attach. They must think I'm stupid. I've ruined everything. I'll never recover. The Stoics invite us to step back, to see that shame is often self-inflicted, not by the world, but by our interpretation of it. The crowd's judgment. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled the largest empire in the world, faced constant scrutiny. Every decision he made was judged, praised, or condemned by senators, soldiers, and citizens. And yet he wrote in his meditations, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." We care more about what strangers think than what we know to be true. And that is the root of shame. The Stoic answer? Care less about the noise and more about your own character. Seneca on mockery. Seneca lived under the shadow of Emperor Nero, a ruler who mocked, belittled, and publicly humiliated those around him. And yet Seneca reminded himself, "He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at." Humor, the Stoics knew, is a shield against shame. If you can laugh at yourself, no one can truly wound you. When the crowd mocks, you have a choice. Join their laughter or give them your power. The Stoic always chooses dignity and sometimes even playful indifference. Epictetus and the slave's shame. Epictetus began his life as a slave. Imagine the humiliation. No status, no voice, beaten and mocked by his master. Yet he discovered a liberating truth. If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. Epictetus realized, shame is powerless unless you accept it. They could call him worthless, but unless he believed it, their words were only air. This is Stoic freedom, untouchable dignity. Shame as a teacher. The Stoics didn't only dismiss shame, but they also saw it as a teacher. Embarrassment reveals attachment. If we are destroyed by public opinion, it means we value reputation more than virtue. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. In other words, shame teaches us what we fear losing: approval, status, belonging. And that is exactly where our work lies. The illusion of the crowd. Here's a Stoic trick. Imagine the people who embarrass you, their laughter, their stares, their comments. Now zoom out. Will they remember in a day, in a week, in a year? Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most of the crowd is too busy with their own worries to think about us for long. Public shame feels eternal, but in reality, it dissolves quickly. The only place it lingers is in our minds, unless we let it go. Practicing voluntary embarrassment. The Stoics had a radical practice: embrace small embarrassments on purpose. Cato the Younger, a famous Stoic, would sometimes wear odd clothing in public just to be mocked, training himself not to fear ridicule. Seneca advised practicing voluntary discomfort, living simply, eating poorly, appearing awkwardly, so that when true embarrassment comes, we are already prepared. When you choose to face shame willingly, it loses its sting. Turning shame into strength. The Stoics didn't believe shame should make us weaker. Instead, they believed it could make us stronger. When mocked, practice patience. When laughed at, practice humility. When judged, practice indifference. Each embarrassment becomes training, a gymnasium for the soul. As Epictetus said, difficulties show men what they are. So too does shame. Modern Stoicism, social media, and public judgment. Today, public shame doesn't only happen in the marketplace, it happens online. A single mistake can bring a flood of criticism, mockery, even cancellation. The Stoic response remains the same. Focus on what is in your control. You cannot silence the crowd, but you can govern your response. Ask yourself, is their opinion within my control? No. Then why give it power over my peace? This doesn't mean ignoring responsibility. If you've done wrong, correct it. But if you've done right, stand firm. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Beyond that, what more can anyone demand? Practical Stoic practices for shame. So, how do we practice Stoic calm in the face of embarrassment? 1. Pause and reframe. Ask, is this truly harmful or just uncomfortable? 2. Humor and lightness. Laugh at yourself before others can. 3. Voluntary embarrassment. Do something small and odd in public to train your indifference. 4. Remember mortality. In the vast span of life and death, this moment of shame is nothing. And 5. Focus on virtue, not reputation. Judge yourself by your actions, not by applause. Shame as a path to freedom. Here is the paradox the Stoics discovered. When you stop fearing shame, you stop being controlled by it. When you no longer care about mockery, ridicule, or the crowd's laughter, you are free. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, mocked and criticized every day, found freedom in this truth. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. When you reclaim your own opinion as the highest authority, shame loses its chains. So, what do the Stoics teach us about public shame and embarrassment? That it is not an enemy, but a test. That it cannot touch your soul unless you give it permission. And that it can even be transformed into strength, dignity, and freedom. The next time you face mockery, laughter, or embarrassment, remember, the crowd's opinion is fleeting. Your virtue is eternal. Shame will pass, but the strength you gain by mastering it will stay forever. If this lesson gave you clarity, let it guide you the next time you feel exposed, humiliated, or judged. Follow for more timeless Stoic wisdom to help you master your emotions, build inner peace, and live with unshakable strength. Subscribe to our channel for weekly deep dives into Stoicism, resilience, and the art of living wisely. Question for you: what's one embarrassing moment in your life that actually made you stronger? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story.